Smell of cinnamon, cloves, ginger wafting from the oven when you bake. Love the smell of gingerbread. A long time ago, when I was much younger and dating my husband, he was the divorced father of 3 young girls that came to visit him every Christmas. And I thought I would score some points by baking gingerbread houses with the girls. And we would decorate them together. I quickly decided that because the youngest was 6, the oldest was 12, that maybe I should bake them and then bring the pieces in. The problem is that the batch of batter only makes 1 house, so I had to bake 3 times. But for love, I did that. I love baking, but not the same thing so many times. This is the pattern that makes the little gingerbread houses that I make. I rolled 3 batches, roll them out, you stick them into the oven, and you bake the batter until it's nice and hard. Firm, not hard, firm. And then you take it out, and while it's still hot, you take these patterns and you lay them in a rectangular position on the batter and cut them very quickly while it's still piping hot and your fingers are burned. And you cut out the little doors and the little chimneys, and then gingerly, carefully, remove the pieces and put them on a cooling tray. If they're not hard enough, they'll crumble. So you have to test them once they've cooled down, pinch them to see if they compress. If they compress, they're not ready, and you have to go and put them back into the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes. So I did this 3 times. Gathered up the pieces and proudly went over to my boyfriend's house to build the gingerbread houses with the girls. And they seemed to have a really good time decorating it with the little candy pieces and showing them off to their mother when they went home. I think I scored with my boyfriend because we ended up getting married. And we moved to Seattle where the kids lived with their mother, and we continued the tradition of the gingerbread houses. Every Christmas, we build gingerbread houses together, and then they would go over to their mothers and they would make gingerbread cookies. And they always seemed to be happy about the idea, but I didn't really know for sure until I received a card signed by all 3 of them saying how much they loved the tradition and how special each year the holiday was because of the houses with me and the cookies with their mother. When the youngest went to college, we stopped doing this. Kids grew up, a couple of them got married, had kids, moved to Bellingham. I retired, we followed them to Bellingham. We've all reunited in Bellingham now, and I have 5 grandchildren. And we decided to start the tradition again. This time, 5 batches of cookies. I love baking, but not that much. So I decided I'm a master baker. I will squeeze 4 houses out of 2 batches of cookies, of cookie dough. So I broke it into 4 pieces and rolled it as thin as I could and stuck them in the oven and waited for it to get nice and piping hot and kind of compressy. Took the first batch out and laid my pattern on it, and I noticed that it was starting to crack as I was drawing my lines with the knife, realizing I had rolled it too thin. And after rolling 4 houses out of the double batch, I had 1 house and a whole bunch of pieces. 2 batches down the drain. Gave myself 24 hours to think about what I did wrong and decided I will make the rest of the house. I'll make 4 out of 3. Surely that would be too thin. And I was rather successful in doing that. I rolled out the next few houses, and I actually had a few extra pieces. And when I was done, when I poured everything into do the triple batch to get the 4 houses out of a triple batch, I learned that my mixer didn't exactly have the capacity to rotate the whole batter. And I heard this whirr sound as it slowly started to move. And then the scent of the ginger, the cinnamon, the stove started to be replaced by the scent of burnt bearing. Yeah, so I quickly turned it off. But the batter had not been mixed properly, so I kept turning it off and on until everything was mixed appropriately. And as I was taking the batter out of the bowl, there was smoke steaming from the mixer. And as I realized that, in the nick of time. But I did end up, going forward, I ended up making 5 batches. Out of 5 houses, 5 batches. And I tried to make 4 houses out of 2 batches, so you really cannot cut corners when building gingerbread houses. I should have just made 1 house per batch like originally planned. So I laid, as you can see here, I laid out on our counter 5 sets of gingerbread houses, 5 grandkids, grandmother. And it's amazing what these kids came up with. One of them did a double-decker. I did not build material for a double-decker. One decided to put the door on top of the roof with the extra pieces. They really had a blast, and the tradition does continue. Thank you.